How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL video. And today we're going to be taking a look at my final lineup for the FPL season, Game Week 38. We're going to see how my team is going to line up for the final game week of the season. We're also going to take a look at how I did in Game Week 37 and what potential rank I'm looking at for the end of the season. If you have been enjoying the videos and if you've been with us all season, make sure to keep hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new or haven't done so already, as well as turn those notification bells on so you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. We will be doing post-season stuff, whether it be, FIFA related or whether it be England squad related. I think I'm going to be putting my England squad out the day before Southgate announces his next week, Monday. He announces his on Tuesday, so make sure to check out for that. As well as follow us over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any FPL news or any off-season news. And when FPL goes live, I'll be sure to make sure I get online ASAP and get my team up and running and see what players are going to be priced at, as well as kind of just take a look at all the different things and how I would set my team up. I like having the nice blank slate. It's going to be fantastic. And we're going to be doing that on Twitch, so make sure to follow us over there. It's PilotFlame226. And we do our preview and deadline streams as normal over there as well. And we will be doing a deadline stream for Game Week 38, so make sure to come check us out for that. We're going to be up an hour and a half before the FPL deadline, so come check us out. Join us in the chat. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be fantastic. Maybe some early team news, hopefully, but very unlikely, but one can hope. So without further ado, let's see how my team did in Game Week 37. So the team scored a pretty subpar score, only 49 points, 45 with the hit taken into consideration, which leaves us at around 800k, which isn't ideal. I was hoping to get top 10k at the beginning of the season. Obviously expectations change as the season goes on, and I've been quite unlucky, and we can do a reflection stream after Game Week 38 finishes, and we'll see some of the situations where basically I got the 50-50 wrong. Maybe I didn't plan as well as what I should have, and it has been a hectic season. There's a lot of great managers out there that are doing well, but there's also just as many doing very poorly, and it's a season like no other. So if it is your first season in FPL, it is my first season looking at stats and that sort of stuff, trying to incorporate that into my game. Maybe I haven't done that as well as what I could have. There's obviously improvements to be made, but at the end of the day, we try to get better and better, and hopefully we can have a better season next year. But this is how the team did in 37. We made 2 transfers, one of which was for a hit. We brought in the likes of, I believe it was Trent Alexander-Arnold, and we brought in, can't remember who the other transfer was. I'm trying to think of who it was. Oh, Rafinha, right, of course. I couldn't remember what transfers I had made for a second. Blanked out. I was thinking, was it Digne? Was it DCL? But we brought in Rafinha, we brought in Trent Alexander-Arnold, and they're going to be good for our team next week. And they got us, Rafinha could have had way more than just 3 points. He's been kind of points dodging and only had 1 double-digit hole this season. Trent Alexander-Arnold getting himself a clean sheet. Usually he'd be on bonus, but when you have another defender that gets 2 assists and another defender that scores a goal and a goalkeeper that makes more than 3 saves and gets a clean sheet, you're kind of not really going to get the bonus points. But Trent's obviously, quite good. Martinez getting the same number of points as Areola, so we didn't really, mess up there. Digne, 8 points, was, quite happy about that, seeing 2 bonus. Again, a low-scoring game for Everton with a clean sheet. Typically means Digne is going to be on 2 or 3 bonus points almost certainly. Shaw and Fernandez disappointing in the Fulham game. Fernandez, I've looked at the replay several thousands of times, and I still don't understand how they gave the assist to Fernandez, because it doesn't look like the rotation of ball changes at all, but we'll take the assist, because at the end of the day, he did get booked as well, so he would have only ended on 2 points with the armband, which was better than Salah, better than Kane. And I think he was the only one to actually get a, attacking return out of, like, the top 6 captains. I think the top 6 was Fernandez, Salah, Vardy, DCL, Kane, and then one other, I believe it was, and he was the only one to basically get a return. Lingard getting 7 points off just an assist, which was fantastic. He got a couple of bonus points there, which was great. Iheanacho coming off the bench and getting us a goal and a bonus point is quite good. And then Vardy, who's been probably one of the bigger disappointments in my team the whole season. I've had him for large portions, and he's not done too well. Ward-Prowse, Masuaku, and Aina on the bench. Was never realistically going to play Ward-Prowse over anyone else, and Masuaku didn't play, and neither did Aina, which is a bit worrying because now I have 2 defenders, potentially 3, going into Game Week 38 that might not play. So let's take a look at how my team is going to line up for Game Week 38. So this is how the team is tentatively set up. My bus team for Game Week 38, 104.2 million squad value, 0.9 million in the bank, and 1 free transfer available. I have no chips left, used all of them already. And Salah is currently my bus captain, with Iheanacho being my vice captain. I think I'm gonna have to captain one of Salah or a Liverpool asset. I'm also considering Trent as well. Maybe if I were to bring in, another Liverpool player, maybe Robertson or something like that. I think he had a very good haul on the final day of the season, so maybe he's going to be somebody who could be a little bit of a differential captain. And at this point, it's just about having fun. I think on the last game week of the season, my rank, I'm not going to, the likelihood is I'm not going to be able to bring in, one player that's going to take me from 800k to the top 100k. It's just not going to happen unless I literally bring in someone who scores 6 or something like that and I captain them, which would be absolutely insane. And I don't think that's probably going to be possible because FPL's pretty much been, like, I like to say, figured out this season. You know the players that are going to do well. You know the players that are going to be looking for avenues to get goals or assists to help their team win, and those are the players that are going to be in the games that matter the most on the last day of the season. So Liverpool have to play at home at Anfield versus Crystal Palace. They need to win if they want to have a chance of getting into the Champions League. They currently have a 3-goal cushion and goal difference over Leicester, so if they win 1-0, then Leicester would have to win, I believe, 4 or 5-0 in order to surpass that and beat them on goal difference. But that's very unlikely considering Leicester are playing Spurs. Also, Chelsea playing Aston Villa as well. Another game where Chelsea have to win, and that is their main goal. They have to win, and they will get in the Champions League. It's simple as that. I have Martinez going against Chelsea as well. He will have the home fans, which is, advantageous. But I also have Areola, who's going up against Newcastle. Now, that could be a potential where I can maybe make up some points, but as we know, Martinez, maybe home fans hasn't been able to play, with them since signing for Aston Villa. I believe Areola is the same as well. So, one's going up against a tough opposition who needs to win, but also is a very good goalkeeper and plays for, a pretty good team. And then you have one that's going against Newcastle, who are still going to try to get some points, but haven't been as good this season as what you potentially would expect out of Newcastle. And he plays for a team that's already been relegated in Areola. So it is going to be a bit close. I think I might just stick with Martinez. He's done well enough throughout the whole season. And I think it's just safe to kind of just play him there. We're sticking with the same back line, although there could be some concerns over Luke Shaw's potential starting position for Game Week 38, because when United play the game on Sunday versus Wolves away at Molineux, 3 days after that, they will be playing in Gdansk up against Villarreal in the Europa League final. So I would expect Shaw to play that, considering he's Manchester United's starting left back. I don't see any reason why you would play him in the Wolves game and potentially risk injury. Same with Fernandes as well. The only Manchester United asset that I can see potentially getting, 60 minutes or so that normally wouldn't otherwise would be Mason Greenwood. I think he's the only real one that I can see would definitely be involved in the game, just because we don't really have someone that can kind of be as versatile as him. And I don't think he's likely to start the final. If Solskjaer is going to go out with his back four, Fred and McTominay, Pogba on the left, Rashford on the right, Bruno in the 10, and then Cavani up top, there's no real room for Mason Greenwood in that starting 11 if he goes for it. Although I personally think that Greenwood should start the final because he's been in form and probably been better than Rashford over the past few weeks. But I don't see Rashford getting dropped for a final if he's fit. But Shaw and Fernandes probably will not be able to get significant enough minutes for warranting keeping them, and I think even potentially for a hit, assuming that they don't play, is going to be worth it. Although taking hits on the final day of the season is a bit of a, you only have that game week to make it up. But again, Game Week 38 always bring among many goals across many games. I've seen games 5-1, 5-4, 5-3. There's been very, very high scoring games on the final game of the season, especially when you have players going for the golden boot. And currently, with Salah being my captain, he's one of those players tied with Kane at the moment. He looked in, very good stead versus Burnley. Will he get the goals that he needs to secure the golden boot? I'm not so sure. He doesn't want to share it. I wouldn't think. And Kane just looked. He just didn't look at it when they when they played Villa, and now they're going to have to play against a Leicester team that have to win. And I think I'm going to be encouraged by having Vardy and Iheanacho in my team, especially Iheanacho, someone who came on, scored, and I think he's very likely to start this game versus Spurs. They're going to have the fans in the ground as well. Spurs still need to win as well. They need to win if they want to make sure that they get a Europa League spot. Otherwise, they're going to be looking at 7th, which would be a Europa League conference place, which is not something that they want to do, especially if they have aspirations to continue good European football. If they potentially lose that, like Arsenal potentially could as well, they need some help on the final day. That could be a significant drawback to their next season's chances of making European football again, whether it be Europa League or Champions League. Champions League being the ultimate end goal. In midfield, I have Rafinha and Lingard in there. Ward-Prowse is currently on the bench because maybe if I were to get rid of Fernandes, I'd be bringing in somebody who would potentially, be starting, whether it be like a Harrison or, somebody like that. And then up front, we have Iheanacho, like I said, my vice captain. Vardy, I like versus the Big Six or the quoted Big Six teams. And then DCL, not really sure if I should play him over Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse is going against a team that is quite good on set pieces themselves, but DCL can score against anyone. He's that good. He's going to be probably called up to the England squad as second place, kind of striker to Harry Kane. Digne, if I knew Aina was starting, maybe I would play him. If I knew Masuaku was starting, maybe I'd play him. But Masuaku's injured for the rest of the season, and Aina is he hasn't played the last 2 games, or the last 2 out of 3, rather. And Digne is just always somebody that can pop up with, with a set piece. And if Man City's going with a rotated team slightly, maybe there's some disorganization there and they concede something from a set piece, which maybe Digne and Calvert-Lewin could kind of crop up with something there and get something for me there. Highly unlikely, but I think it's maybe some places for change there as well. But let's take a look at some of the options that I have and kind of just go through kind of a free form kind of tinkering with the team as it stands. So this is the team up on the screen here. So basically some of the players that are in contention, as we mentioned. We're not going to get rid of either of our goalkeepers. I think, funnily enough, there's a lot of players and managers out there that have goalkeeper issues at the moment, with the likes of, certain goalkeepers not playing, like Meslier being one of them. Mendy's been rotated, although I don't think he's going to get rotated this week. Maybe Fabianski's potentially... place is in question. Dubravka, a lot of players were potentially flocking to them. Newcastle goalkeeper for 1 week off. Type of punt, as it were. He looks to be injured. Nick Pope's been injured as well. There's a lot of goalkeepers out there that may be missing their places. But Martinez, I don't think is going to get rotated. Home fans, Dean Smith's not one to rotate in the first place anyway. And then Areola's just going to play probably anyway. So we do have 2 good goalkeepers, which is fine for this week. But the players in contention, if we look at the back line, Shaw, Masuaku, Aina, all lined up against each other, there's a potential for all 3 of them not to play, which would leave me with 1 defender short. Trent's going to play, Digne's going to play. Whether Digne gets me points, or significant points I should say, is another matter. Now, one obvious thing is with 0.9 million in the bank, we can go for something pretty straightforward, which I'm heavily considering. Haven't owned him all season that I know of, is Stuart Dallas. Somebody who's done, really, really well. Just scored boatloads of points. He's the highest scoring defender in the game by a little margin of 14 points. And he's got some massive, massive holes. It's going to be a shame next season when he becomes a 6 million midfielder probably, and Luke Ayling will still remain as a defender. So everyone will be going for Luke Ayling, and Dallas will just be a midfield option instead, because he's played more positions in midfield than he has at fullback, which he may then revert back to a defender next season as well when they have a full squad, or maybe his future lies in central midfield. I believe he's going 30 if he hasn't done so already this year or next year. So starting to go past prime years for an outfield player, or on the next couple of years will start to be at the twilight of his career, as it were. And with Bielsa's team, there's a lot of running involved. So, and fullback is definitely one of those roles that runs the most, let alone in a Bielsa side. So maybe he goes in the central midfield. Another player that I'm also heavily considering is just somebody that it's a bit differential. It is Federico Fernandez, I believe is how you pronounce his name, for Newcastle. He's 0.5% owned, and they go up against Fulham. So maybe I play Fernandez in an Areola, and I just hope for a nice 0-0. But on the last day of the season, I don't think that's very likely, at all. Another player that's potentially on the cards is just a Burnley defender is Ben Mee. Try to combine Ben and Me at the same time. 2.6% owned. Plays Sheffield United away. He's going to start quite cheap. It allows me to get an extra 0.5 million if I so choose to be put in elsewhere, up front or in midfield. And I think he could be, quite a solid pick, probably guaranteed a clean sheet almost certainly, and would be destined, definitely going to be starting because he is the captain of Burnley. Although, again, Burnley has been opening up quite a lot recently, and it could be a situation where Sheffield United are able to just go gung ho because they're in front of their fans and they just try to see how many goals they can score, and maybe they hurt Burnley. So that could be a bit of an issue there as well. Up front, Calvert-Lewin, again, don't necessarily want to play him versus the likes of Man City. I just don't feel that he could be, as effective as some of the cheaper alternatives. One of which is obviously Chris Wood, who is going up against Sheffield United and could be a good pick overall. Maybe even next season. He's one of the 6 players that scored 10 plus goals in the Premier League over the last 4 seasons, which is quite an interesting stat. Mikel Antonio, another one. I believe he's going for the West Ham goal record as well, so he has some incentive there. And then the obvious one up front could be Patrick Bamford as well. Someone who has been highly owned. I believe he's the second most point scorer for forwards this season. Has done really well, and I expect Leeds to score quite heavily versus West Brom as well, who are down and out. Sam Allardyce, he's going to be up against it. He's leaving at the end of the season anyway, and Leeds will have their home fans for the first time in the Premier League for what? It's like a decade and a half or something crazy like that, which is just absolutely insane. We mentioned Harrison as well. Another Leeds asset that has been, kind of hotly debated whether you go for him or Rafinha. I think both are great options. I think a Leeds triple up is definitely quite good as well, and I wouldn't, be opposed to that either. And I think he could do quite well. Someone who actually really interests me that I'm not really sure how I could potentially fund it. I would have to downgrade a defender, get a cheaper defender, would be Roberto Firmino. I think he's someone who's being overlooked over the likes of Mane or Robertson. I think I can go from Shaw to a 4.5 defender, so I'm not sure what type of defender that would be, but I could definitely get one. Maybe a cheaper Burnley defender. Loughton's 4.4 maybe is an option there, and I think that he could easily be slotted in. Burnley plays Sheffield United. Firmino plays Crystal Palace at home. He's been on a bit of a goal-scoring form as well, and that could be quite an interesting differential. It would mean us playing James Ward-Prowse, which is something we can definitely do. Not ideal, but again, James Ward-Prowse is quite good on set pieces, and anything is possible. So yeah, that's just some of the things that I can tinker around with. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And that is gonna do it for our FPL lineup announcement for Game Week 38. If you haven't done so already and you haven't been following us and you're new to the videos, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. As we mentioned in the beginning of the video, we will be doing content over the off season that is like, you know, FIFA related. Maybe it's going to be a graphics stream so you can see how I do my FPL graphics, maybe upgrading some of those. I've been thinking about different designs for thumbnails and that sort of stuff, and maybe that's where we go for something new. As well as maybe some green screen work potentially we could be doing, because I want to integrate that. I've been only recently just got the stand and the camera up and working. I still haven't messed around with the software, but that's probably going to be something that's going to have to be done after Game Week 38, just because I'm doing a little bit of renovations in the house as well. So we need to get those sorted before I start dealing with technical stuff, because I'm going to have to move it anyway, and I don't want to set it up and then have to move it and then move it again. Also, make sure to follow us over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with all the content that will be going out, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so that you can see when we go live for whether it be a FIFA stream or whether it's our first preview stream of the season. We will be going live and doing our streams all on Twitch for the preview deadline streams, lineups, all that sort of stuff. Before FPL is officially launched for Game Week 1. We'll be doing some tinkering streams and that sort of stuff. And when FPL is live, the first stream I'll be doing, I'll have the blank team on screen. We'll go through all the different player prices and that sort of stuff, and I'll kind of freeform it and ramble on. And yeah, it'll be great fun. Can't wait until the next FPL season, and hope you all enjoyed this one. It is a bit of a hectic one. Next season should be a bit more normal, as it were, with the crowds and stuff being back in the grounds. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.